Hi, this video is on two of the loans offered through the CARES Act, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and the Paycheck Protection Program. And this information on this video is what we know as of 4/3/20. Information is changing quite often, so I want to make sure that you know that this information is as of 4/3/2020. And again, I'm Randy Hendershot. I'm CEO and founder of Evolution Advisors, a business brokerage firm located in the Sacramento area in Roseville. And we'll jump right into the EIDL, or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And you can apply for both the PPP and the EIDL. And overall, and again, I'm not a big fan of reading all the bullets, so I'll just kind of give you an overview and you can pick away what you think is important there. But overall, over the last couple of weeks, they've been working hard to make this a little bit more streamlined, the application process itself. They've lessened some of the big requirements. For example, no personal guarantee less than 200,000. They've tried to limit the amount of information needed to get started. And one information or bit of information that's pretty important on this EIDL loan is that on the application itself, there's a box you can click at the bottom bullet there, and you can receive a grant up to $10,000. That's no prepayment or no repayment required. So even if you choose not to accept the EIDL loan, you can still you'll still be able to collect that $10,000 grant. So what can the EIDL loan be used for? A lot of basic business expenses, working capital, debts, payroll. They've really kind of made this as kind of keeping it simple and to help business owners get the funds they need to take care of business. And again, that bottom line, they really have been working hard to make the application process a little bit less. A little bit more easy to go through. Okay, so the CARES Act, we're going to jump over to the PPP, or the Paycheck Protection Program, which applications started being accepted on 4/3, so on Friday 4/3, depending on what the date that you're listening to this. I'll get into another part here on a date for independent contractors, but business owners can apply as of 4/3. The loans will be going through actual lenders. The EIDL program is going through the SBA themselves, where this PPP goes through actual banks or SBA lenders. And a couple more bullets on here as far as how the program works. On this one here, the biggest piece of the Paycheck Protection Program is that it's a forgivable loan, 100%. As long as you use the funds as directed by the program, it's 100% forgivable loan. And what can you use the loans for? Payroll, benefits, commissions, and a couple other overhead items on here, mortgage, utilities, and interest. The main thing they're trying to do here, as we know, is to get people back to work, help business owners be able to make payroll. So that's really what this is designed for, is that. And I'll go over a little bit more in a moment on the ratios that you need to really be careful with. As far as how do you figure out what loan amount you could get. This is the formula. They're in blue. Those are the expense items that you want to use. And what you'll do is you'll look back at the last 12 months. Most business owners are using 2019 as their year. You could, if you felt like using the last 12 might help you with the calculation, meaning where you would use January and February of 2020 and then drop off January, February 2019. If that helps you with the numbers, you can do that as well. But you take those expenses listed there in blue, add them up for the year, and then divide by 12 to get your monthly average. And then whatever your monthly average is, you multiply that times 2.5. As you can see, there is a limit on when you're figuring out the calculation. If you have high wage earners, employees over that $100,000 mark, you can still use their earnings in there, but you have to cap the number at 100,000. So, for example, if there's an employee that makes 125,000, when you're figuring out the formula, the max you can use for that particular employee is 100,000. But anyway, you put all that together, multiply it by 2.5. The max you can get on this loan is up to 10 million. And again, to recap, you can apply for both the EIDL and this loan too. And then if you do get the EIDL loan, you can actually fold it into this the PPP and pay off that one, which is a forgivable loan, which would probably be the way to go. couple special notes on payroll as far as the employees. Won't read all these like I mentioned, but really it's designed for U.S. residents. There is the max on the 100,000 side. Then there on the bottom is what I mentioned. Independent contractors should not be included. This is what we know as of 4.3, should not be included in the calculation because on 4.10, depending on when you're listening to this video, that time may have already passed. But 4.10, 2020 is when independent contractors will be able to apply on their own. So they should not be included in the calculation there. As far as eligibility, kind of simple program here. You have to be in operation before the 15th of February. And then there's other items on there. They're going to want to certify that you're going to use it for the right expenses and all that. And again, businesses apply as a 4.3, independent contractors 4.10. Last bullet there says the application deadline is June 30th. The word I'm hearing on the street is these funds, it's a capped deal, and their funds are going to run out. So I don't really think that June 30th really applies. So you definitely want to move quick. So what are the action steps? So you'll need to work with your own bank first. Due to the volume, there's going to be so many applicants that banks are not going to take on clients outside their current customer list. So you want to start with yours first, go that route. I think once banks get settled, they'll bring on other clients if that might be the case. Not all banks are utilizing the program. Just kind of give you a little idea of the volume here. Typically, in a year, as far as SBA loans go, there's about 30 billion in loans made through the SBA on an annual basis, and this year they're adding on 349 billion. So it's quite a lot of traffic there. So you can imagine this is going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. We're hearing that due to the volume, there may be some help coming down the pike for banks being able to utilize non-traditional vendors to help them with the volume. So we'll see if that comes into play. Documents you'll need, payroll processing information will be very handy to have. There's a couple forms on here you'll see, 940, summary, payroll taxes, and any kind of, basically any funds that you're putting in your formula, you're going to have documents to back that up. Insurance premiums, retirement funding, all those bits of information. Then you're also going to need a set of documents for when you have to prove that you use the funds in the proper manner, and to make the loan forgivable. And one big item on there is that the funds from this loan, when they're used, 75% of those funds need to be used for payroll. If they're not, then it cannot become a forgivable loan. So we mentioned before the other items that you can use the loan for, mortgage interest, rent, things like that, but 75% of your loan amount needs to go towards payroll. Again, the incentive here is really to get folks back to work. So that's important to keep that in mind. So summing everything up as far as what's available right now, you have the Payroll Protection Program, you got the EIDL we just talked about. There's also a bridge loan for businesses that might need help until these other loans come into play, and that's up to $25,000 as well. So just keep that in mind that that's there. Some best practices as far as what I'm hearing from professionals, as far as how should a business owner look at all these different items and pick what's best for them. There are some tax credits that are available, and maybe that's the angle you go at that might make the most sense for starters. You got to determine if unemployment, if that's the way to go with your team, or do you then would you maybe take a look at the EIDL loan, which is actually a loan, and it's up to 30 years at 3.75% interest. And again, you can click that button on there and receive a $10,000 grant. Or do you just take that step into the SBA bridge loan if you need that, and then all the way down to the PPP. And that protection loan, again, is through actual lenders, but that is a forgivable loan. There's another benefit out there you may or may not have heard of. If folks need to tap into their retirement funds, they've taken away some of the penalties if you can take up to $100,000 withdrawal, and they've also temporarily relieved the minimum required distributions as well. If you want to learn more, here's some additional resources on these particular websites here. If you want to jot those down, give you a lot more information depending on how deep you want to get in. And again, we're here as a resource. Our goal is to provide you as much information as we can from what we see based on the current information that's out there. So if you have any additional questions, please let us know. You can get a hold of us via our website, email, or the old-fashioned way, just give us a call. But again, we want to be a resource and see if we can help local business owners out. So until next time, we'll talk to you later. Thank you.